You know that feeling? You're sitting there, maybe staring at a blank screen in Docs or wading through a flood of emails in Gmail,
Oh, yeah.
or even just trying to figure out, how to start organizing data in a sheet. It can feel like you're trying to climb a mountain sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Or maybe you know the goal, you have the endpoint in mind, but just the sheer effort of drafting something or summarizing or researching,
Yeah.
it feels like it's going to take ages.
Well, what if in those exact moments, right there in the apps you're already using, you could tap an assistant, like an AI collaborator ready to help you brainstorm, draft, summarize whatever you need?
That's really the promise here, isn't it? AI integrated right into your workflow.
Exactly. And that's what we're really diving into today.
We've been looking at this guide, Gemini for Google Workspace,
Mm.
Prompting Guide 101, the October 2024 version. It's basically a handbook on how to talk to this AI assistant that's popping up all over Google Workspace.
Right. So our mission today is to pull out the essential skills, the core ideas, and maybe some surprising bits from this guide. We want to help you understand how you can collaborate effectively with Gemini.
Yeah, how to boost your productivity, maybe your creativity too, all within the Google stuff you already use.
Mm.
Gmail, Docs, Sheets, even Meet and Slides, plus Gemini Advanced.
And something you mentioned earlier, which the guide really stresses right up front, is the foundation this is built on.
Helpfulness, security, and privacy. That's key. The guide makes it super clear that when you're using Gemini in Workspace, your data stays put. It stays in your environment.
Okay, that's crucial. It's not being used to train models, not used for ads.
Correct. That's a core principle they keep reinforcing.
So, okay, we're collaborating with AI. How do you
Yeah.
how do you start that conversation? The guide calls it prompting. What exactly is a prompt?
Well, at its simplest, like the guide says, it's just how you kick off the conversation with the AI, your instruction, your question. It gets the ball rolling.
And it's not always just one shot, is it? Like you ask, it answers, and then you might need to tweak it.
Exactly. The source is really clear. It's often an iterative process. Think of it less like giving one command and more like having a chat, a back and forth, to get the best result.
Okay.
And to help guide that initial chat, the guide lays out this really useful framework. They call it the 4 main pillars of effective prompting.
The 4 pillars.
Hmm.
All right, what are these like fundamental building blocks?
Okay, so they are persona, task, context, and format.
Persona. Right. So like who do you want the AI to be?
Precisely. You can tell Gemini to act as a specific role, maybe act like a program manager writing to executives, or maybe summarize customer feedback like a customer service lead would. Giving it a persona really shapes the tone and the focus.
Okay, that makes sense. Task. I'm guessing that's just telling it what to do.
Yep. And this one's critical, according to the guide. Your prompt has to include a clear verb or command. What do you need it to do? Summarize, draft, create, organize, analyze.
Right.
Without that action word, Gemini's kind of lost. It doesn't know what you actually want it to execute.
So just saying this email thread isn't helpful, but summarize this email thread works because you gave it the task. Summarize.
Exactly, you need that direction. Okay, next up is context.
And this is where you give it all the necessary background.
Yeah. Think about the industry you're in, who the audience is, what the overall goal is, maybe specific details it needs, or even pointing it to other documents. Context gives it the background to make the output useful for your specific situation.
That sounds like the key to getting something tailored, not just generic.
It often is. And the 4th pillar is format.
So how you want the answer presented, like bullet points or maybe a table or an email draft.
Exactly that. Specifying the format means the output is structured in a way you can actually use easily. The guide has this great example that pulls all 4 together.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. You are a program manager in industry. Draft an executive summary email to persona based on details about relevant program docs. Limit to bullet points.
Ah, okay, I see it. You are a program manager. That's the persona.
Yep.
Draft is the task, based on details about docs, context, and limit to bullet points. That's the format. Wow, okay, it hit all 4.
It does. And, the guide clarifies you don't always need all 4 every single time, but definitely combining the task with at least 1 or 2 others like context or format really bumps up the quality of the response.
Okay, so understanding those pillars is the foundation. What about some quick, practical tips the guide offers for someone just starting out, trying to experiment?
Yeah, they've got 6 quick tips to get you going. First off, Use natural language.
Which basically means just talk to it normally, right? Like you would a colleague.
Yeah.
Use full sentences. Don't try to guess some special AI code.
Exactly. Don't overthink the phrasing. Just be clear. Second, be specific, and importantly, be ready to iterate. Tell it precisely what you want. Summarize this, write that. Change the tone this way. Give it the context it needs. And yeah, be prepared to refine your prompt based on what it gives you back. The first try isn't always perfect.
Which kind of leads to number 3, doesn't it? Be concise, but maybe don't make it too complex all at once.
Yes, exactly. Aim for clear, specific language. Try not to cram too many different complicated things into one single prompt. Number 4 builds on that iteration idea. Make it a conversation.
Right.
If the first response isn't quite right, ask follow-up questions. Give it more clarity, or adjust the prompt. Treating it like a dialogue helps steer it where you want it to go.
Okay, and number 5 sounds like a big one for Workspace users. Use your documents.
Oh, this is huge. It lets Gemini personalize its output by pulling info directly from your own files in Google Drive.
So it's not just working off the general internet, it's using my stuff.
Exactly. It's working with your specific context, your data. It's incredibly powerful. And the 6th tip, this one's especially neat if you use Gemini Advanced. You can actually turn Gemini into your own prompt editor.
Wait, what? How does that work? Does it help you write better prompts?
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can literally give Gemini Advanced a prompt like, make this a power prompt, and then paste your original prompt text.
No way.
Yeah. Gemini will then analyze your prompt and suggest ways to improve it, maybe add more context, specify the format better, refine the task, before you even send it off to get the actual answer.
That's like having a little prompting coach built right in.
Kind of, yeah. It's great for learning.
So all these tips and pillars, does the guide make it sound like this is some super technical skill, like only for prompt engineers?
Not at all. The guide's really clear on this. Prompting is a learnable skill for anyone. You definitely don't need to be a tech wizard to get value here.
And there's that fascinating stat in the guide, the one about prompt length. It really highlights why adding detail matters.
Oh yeah, that's quite eye-opening. They found that the most successful prompts, the ones that get the best results, average around 21 words, especially when they include good context.
21 words. And what do people usually use?
Well, the prompts people often start with are typically less than 9 words.
Wow. 9 versus 21. That difference, just adding a bit more context, being more specific, makes a massive difference in the output quality.
It really does. It shows the power of those pillars, especially context.
Now, alongside all this cool capability, the guide does include a necessary word of caution about generative AI, right?
Yes. And it's important. Look, generative AI is amazing. It's getting better all the time, but it's still pretty new tech. Responses can sometimes be, well, unexpected or even inaccurate.
So the key takeaway there is, what should you always do?
Always, always review the output critically. Before you use any text, any data, any idea that Gemini generates, you need to take that human step. Check it. Is it clear? Is it relevant? Is it accurate? Gemini's your assistant, a collaborator, but the final responsibility, the ownership of the work, that's yours. You're the editor. You're the expert in your work.
Review is critical. Got it. Now, one of the really compelling things about Gemini in Workspace is where you can actually use it. It's not just stuck in one separate window, right? It's woven into your flow.
Exactly. That's a huge advantage. You can access Gemini right inside the apps you're already working in. There are side panels in Docs, Sheets, Slides, Gmail.
So you can chat with it while looking at your document or email.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Keep your work front and center. Meet even has features now for helping with note-taking in real time.
And then there's the more standalone chat experience too, Gemini Advanced.
Correct. That's at gemini.google.com. And this is where that tip about using your own documents gets really practical.
Okay.
In those side panels, Docs, Sheets, Gmail, Slides, even right in Drive, you can easily reference your files just by typing @ and then the file name.
The @ mentioned for files?
Yep. It tells Gemini, hey, use the content of this specific document or this spreadsheet or this presentation as context for what I'm asking you to do.
So let's say I'm in Gmail writing a reply. I could type like, draft a reply summarizing the key decisions from @project kickoff notes.
Exactly. And Gemini would pull the relevant details from that specific meeting notes file in your Drive to help draft the email for you.
That's incredibly useful, pulling your own info right into the workflow.
It makes the output so much more personalized and helpful. And there are other integrated features too, like help me write in Docs and Gmail.
For when you're staring at that blank page.
Exactly. Beat writer's block. Or Create image with Gemini right inside slides if you need a visual concept. The guide even mentions using voice commands in Gmail and Gemini Advanced.
Hands-free prompting? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's really bring this to life. Can we talk through some concrete examples from the guide? Show how people are actually using these prompts in different jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. The guide has tons of role-specific examples. Let's grab a few different ones. Summarizing information. Classic time saver, right?
Definitely.
An executive assistant could pop open Gmail, use the side panel, and say, summarize emails from their manager's name from the last week in this thread. Boom. Saves digging through maybe dozens of emails.
Huge, especially after being out of the office. Or maybe a salesperson has links to a few news articles about a prospect.
Right. They could go to Gemini Advanced and prompt something like, summarize these articles from URL 1, URL 2, URL 3. What are the key announcements and why are they relevant for a sales approach? Get some synthesized insights fast.
Okay, cutting through the noise. What about drafting stuff? Communications.
Yeah, help me write. Shines here. Imagine a customer service rep dealing with a tricky complaint. In Docs or Gmail, they could prompt, you are a customer service representative. Craft an empathetic email response to a damaged goods complaint. Include a paragraph acknowledging their frustration and 3 bullet points proposing potential resolutions. It helps structure a tough message and nail the right tone.
That's using persona, task, context, and format.
Nice.
Or maybe a salesperson needs to announce an event.
Yep. In Gmail's, help me write. Draft an email inviting prospects to our upcoming webinar on topic happening, date, time. Mention the key speakers and the value prop. Different needs, different apps, same core idea.
Define the job, give the details. What about organizing data? Spreadsheets.
Another great use case. An admin needs a quick tracker. Open blank sheet, prompt. Create a simple budget tracker table for business travel. Include columns for date, expense type, vendor description, and amount.
Simple request, structured output. And this is where referencing your own files with the @ symbol really comes in handy, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Say a frontline manager needs a checklist for their team. They could open a sheet and prompt, I am a retail store manager. Create a daily opening and closing checklist template using the steps outlined in the @Store Procedures Manual, June 2024. Include columns for task, status, and notes. They're pulling directly from an existing procedures doc.
That's a perfect example. Marrying the task with specific context from their own file. Okay, what about brainstorming, content creation?
Yeah, great for getting unstuck. A marketing person needs blog ideas. Go to Gemini Advanced. Suggest 5 blog post topics for a sustainable travel company. For each, provide a target audience, a brief outline, and a suggested call to action.
Structured brainstorming helps beat the block. And visuals, you mentioned slides.
Right. In slides, use Create Image with Gemini. Create an image of a futuristic workspace with natural light and collaborative areas using modern furniture. Evoke innovation. Give it a description. Get visual ideas.
Sparks creativity. Okay, what about more complex stuff, pulling from multiple documents?
Good question. The guide shows that too. A communications person drafting a press release in Docs could use several internal files.
How would that look?
Something like, I'm a PR manager. Draft a press release about our recent acquisition. Include a catchy headline. Pull quotes from @acquisition press quotes. And use background info from @corporate_fact_sheet 2024. Tone should be professional and exciting.
Wow, synthesizing info from multiple internal docs into one draft. That's powerful.
It really is. Or an HR pro needs an onboarding script in Docs. I am an HR manager. Create a presentation script introducing our company culture based on details in Employee Handbook V3 and a company values document. Include talking points for each section.
It's all about bringing your specific knowledge, your company's context, into the generative process.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've hit the pillars, the tips, where to use it, seen some great examples. The guide also mentions ways to kind of level up your prompting, right? Go beyond the basics.
Yeah, once you're more comfortable, these help you refine things even further. One suggestion is breaking down really complex requests into smaller sequential prompts. Don't try to do everything in one giant instruction.
Makes sense. And give constraints, like word count or number of bullet points.
Yep, tell it you only want 3 options, or keep it under 500 words. Also, assign a really specific detailed role to Gemini to fine-tune the perspective.
And I like this one asking for feedback from Gemini, like, what questions do you have for me?
Yeah, it encourages Gemini to ask for clarification if your prompt isn't clear enough. Helps you write better prompts, too.
And specifying the tone explicitly formal, casual, persuasive.
Exactly. And the last one really ties it all together. Iterate and refine. constantly.
Hmm.
Don't just take the first output if it's not perfect. Use follow-up prompts to nudge it, shape it, improve it.
Right. It's a collaboration, not just a command.
These tips help you move from getting just a useful first draft to getting something much closer to what you actually need.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the Gemini for Google Workspace prompting guide, the big takeaway, and the guide really hammers this home, is that good prompting isn't some secret art, it's a skill.
Absolutely. A skill you can learn and definitely improve on. It's built on understanding those four pillars: persona, task, context, format.
And then combining them with those practical tips. Be
Mhm.
specific, use normal language, make it a conversation. And that huge one, leveraging your own documents right there in your workflow using the app mentioned.
So the encouragement is really start experimenting. Try it out in your daily tasks. Use Help Me Write in Gmail. Reference an app file in a docs prompt. Outline some ideas in Sheets. Just play with it.
And remember that refining, that iteration, is totally part of the process. It's expected.
Yeah, don't get discouraged if the first try isn't perfect. That's normal.
And ultimately, I think the guide leaves us with this thought. Gemini is designed to assist, to help humans by letting it handle some of that heavy lifting, the summarizing, the first drafts, the organizing. Maybe you can free up more of your time and energy.
Right. Free up your unique human skills like critical thinking, strategic judgment, creativity, empathy for the parts of your work where that human insight is truly irreplaceable, the stuff that really matters most.